Hello and welcome to Femme Health, the podcast where we celebrate women's wellness, empowerment and the trailblazers reshaping the future of health. I'm Steph, I'm one of the founders here at Femme, and today we have a very special episode because today we're celebrating International Women's Day. And what better way to do that by highlighting two women who are truly revolutionising reproductive health. I'm thrilled to be joined by Kat and Danielle, the incredible co-founders of the Ova Co, a brand redefining fertility support with science-backed accessible supplements for the next generation. Danielle is a powerhouse in the beauty and health space, having spent 16 years as an editor, and was part of the founding team at Net-a-Porter. But it was her decade-long journey through IVF that initiated her mission to challenge the narrative around fertility and make baby making better for all. And Kat, a former beauty and wellness buyer and brand consultant, has worked with top global retailers like Urban Outfitters and Net-a-Porter and a high growth consumer brands. Her personal experience with recurrent miscarriages fuel her passion for bridging the gap between high quality fertility formations. And together they are creating a category defining brand that is putting reproductive health at the forefront. And they're only just getting started. So let's kick off this episode. Hi ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Steph. Thank you so much for having us.
What an introduction.
I mean, quite. You said it more beautifully.
You make it sound great.
I was a little bit nervous today. I was like, wow, these are two powerhouses with babies under 6 months and launching brands. Wow.
Yeah, we certainly like a challenge.
Yeah. How are you both feeling? Are you doing good?
Yeah, a bit tired.
Spinning those plates, Steph.
Yeah.
Those plates are spinning.
I think more and more women are just doing more and more. I think we need to maybe do less for like a minute. Every time you hear of women just doing these incredible things, it's like, oh, and I did that pregnant. And I did that. And it's like, wow. Truly, truly in awe of you both, and so excited to have you join us today. So accelerating action, it's one of the key areas for International Women's Day is leadership and decision making, and I am sure you both have had your fair share of experience here recently as you joined the Ova Co. So tell us a little bit about the Ova Co and where you are today.
Wow. Okay. So where do we start? You hit the nail on the head. Really, Ova has come from both Kat and my personal, experiences within fertility, where we spent years really navigating the frustrating and confusing and often heartbreaking realities of those fertility struggles. And like so many women, we realized that what we needed out there simply didn't exist to support us on our journeys. So that's really where it came, where we wanted to build it, quite simply. I think also along with our backgrounds within the wellness space, within retail and within supplements itself, has really helped us, figure out what the modern consumer needed today to help supercharge and safeguard their fertility now and for the future. And that's really where it stemmed from.
And I think maybe to your point about accelerating action in this space, part of what we want to do is just highlight all of the amazing science and research that has come out in recent years around fertility and women's health. I think for a really long time, this space was massively under-researched and under-invested in, and we're finally starting to see some change in that. And so when we kind of started to bring about our formulas and bring about this brand, it really was important to us to rely on the most up-to-date science and really bring that science to the forefront, and just really help women and men understand that there's so much that can be done to improve your fertility outcomes and also just to kind of stay positive whilst you're on that journey.
Yeah, which as we all know can be really difficult.
For sure.
It brings us on to education. I just wanted to touch upon the education system around fertility. One thing that I noticed since developing the concept of FEM and what we stand for is the lack of education around our cycles, around fertility, around, I mean, I've spoke to some people that literally were told, okay, you've come on your period, you use these sanitary pads, and you go on the pill, and that's kind of it. Where do you think we are with education today? Do you think it's getting better? Do you notice any changes? Because, I mean, from my perspective, it's brands like yourself that seem to be doing the doing, that seem to be educating on Instagram, social media, giving free resources out, you know, as an education system. Have you seen any changes?
Such a good question. I think most of us grow up learning how not to get pregnant within school, but no one actually teaches us actually how to conceive when the time comes. And that really is distilled down to just more reproductive health knowledge is needed at such a young age. You know, I say such a young age, you know, I went into my own fertility struggles and my decade within IVF, and I barely knew the difference between a fallopian tube and a follicle. And I was thinking, if you know, I class myself as an educated woman, but if I don't know, like who we're all very, you know, we all don't have enough knowledge at our fingertips, and that really kind of lit a fire within us when we launched Over to be able to simplify the science out there, simplify the education out there, and actually talk about how removing the stigma status and talking about infertility, pregnancy loss, reproductive struggles, because they are still whispered, and we need to change that narrative and bring to the forefront far more better knowledge, but more accessible.
And I think, though, you know, that is happening. You know, we live in a time where so much education is found online, and resources like TikTok and Instagram, where, you know, previously these are kind of just sources of entertainment, have really become like real fountains of knowledge. The Trying to Conceive community on social media, so both on TikTok and on Instagram, is huge. Facebook as well, with these like Facebook groups of women who are kind of going through their own fertility journeys, have become really great resources for, I know for myself, when I was going through kind of my recurrent miscarriages, you know, as much information as I was getting from my doctor, I was probably getting twice as much from other women online who'd experienced what I was experiencing. So I think we're living in a really exciting time where information is becoming a lot more easily accessible through people's anecdotal stories, but also, you know, brands like ours, and we're definitely not the only ones doing this, but really leveraging our platforms to give easily understood information to as many people as possible, because there's so much great information out there. We definitely want to be a part in sharing that.
Yeah, incredible. And you're right. While social media, you know, is giving us so much, you know, there is also the confusion sometimes of what is right. You know, some one person saying one thing, one person saying another thing, and you can often become completely bamboozled with what you're reading, and in the end, you can just walk away and make no decisions. And I mean, from our point of view, we notice a lot of our fertility customers, you know, they order in between 12 and 3 in the morning sometimes. And we really resonate of how consuming trying to conceive can be. You know, it affects your sleep, your emotions, your family. It can affect work. And so having a brand or, you know, an influencer that you can really resonate with and connect with and trust, I think is the key point there, is
I think
trust.
sometimes we underestimate the power of the anecdotal as well, alongside the science. You know, as you say, to your point, being able to resonate someone who's going through a similar journey to you. I mean, that is so powerful, and it's exactly what helped me through my own journey, is finding like-minded or people who were going through the same, you know, issues and struggles that I was going through, and actually connecting with them and finding out what they did, and their tips and tweaks and suggestions was so helpful for me.
Yeah. And just, you know, obviously, as well as a brand, we're so lucky that we work with so many incredible, not only fertility consultants, but also our head of nutrition is such an incredible resource. And so for us to be able to amplify their voices and be able to get, because, you know, we understand that there is a lot of information out there, but sometimes it's just getting the right information out to people. You know, Danielle made so many incredible connections within the space when she was going through her own journey. But these are doctors who are really kind of inaccessible to most people. So for us to get to provide their insights and their knowledge to our customers, but also to anyone who wants to listen to us talk about it on the internet is, I think, really an exciting part of what we're getting to do, alongside all of the amazing anecdotals and our customer stories and our own journeys that we get to talk about.
Amazing. And it's so refreshing to come across a brand that has real faces, real people, real stories, real testimonials. I mean, there are many of fertility brands run by men, and it's so refreshing that we have women at the front of this, and to really destigmatize the supplement market. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because there are many of brands without a face that are actually giving supplements a bad name. And we have questions every day come in our inbox saying, are these supplements actually going to work? Do you have any evidence? Do you have any proof? So how do you tackle that with the Ova Co?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And I think both of us really resonate with it because our experience, kind of me working in buying and Danielle as a journalist in this space, we were confronted with so many products where you just didn't know the efficacy, and there was no real understanding about, what the real provenance of the brand and the products were, especially, not having a face to the brand. It kind of almost makes them get out a little bit scot-free of who's kind of holding themselves responsible for these products working. And in the fertility space, it's just so important that we can back up our formulas, because this isn't just hair and skin and nails that we're talking about improving. This is somebody's likelihood of having a baby. So we, I think from the get-go, wanted to back up our formulas with evidence. So we've run now 2 user trials and done blood biomarkers to really show that our products do work and that they are in their most bioavailable forms, that they're readily absorbed by the body, that we're dosing our formulas at the levels required within clinical studies, and really just doing everything we can to not only reassure our consumers and ourselves and all the clinicians that we work with that they do work, but also just make kind of almost from a moral standpoint, so that Danielle and I can stand up and say, we're bringing the best possible products to, our friends and family and consumers who are looking to improve their chances at starting a family or growing their family.
Amazing. And it's exactly what a customer wants to hear, that it's backed by science, the evidence is there, and it is one of the main reasons we were so excited to stock the Ova Co. So really excited to be working with you both this year. And I know that you've both had personal fertility journeys. Would you say that is the reason why you both came together to start the Ova Co? Was there a change in particular that you wanted to see in the fertility industry?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think that it's kind of threefold answer to that, because Kat and I used to work together, and we were particularly obsessed with wellness and the supplement space. And I think we were getting frustrated at brands that we were launching, and we wanted to be part of this like collective of great brands out there, but we really felt that there was something missing in the space and that kind of a mastige space, where there wasn't the kind of supplements that were high quality but without the sky high markup. Mm-hmm. So we felt, there was very much 2 ends of the spectrum from a supplement standpoint, where you have high quality but highly priced products that were just inaccessible for so many. And so we really wanted kind of to flip that on the reverse and be able to offer something that was geared towards reproductive health and fertility based on our own struggles and what we were lacking. I really felt like a supplement mixologist. When I going through my IVF, I took so many supplements. I bought so many because, like so many of us, we hear like that's great for egg health, or we hear that's great for IVF outcomes, and you buy it, right, because you'll throw money at it. However, what I just felt frustrated is I couldn't find one thing that could concentrate everything and give you the best possible product, that I could focus on my other parts of my fertility journey, like my appointments and my next round. And so that really, the frustrations within the supplement space, alongside my own kind of fertility struggles and what I couldn't find to best support my own fertility journey, really kind of stemmed stemmed the start of Ova.
Yeah.
It's actually really fun, I think, because our Ova Plus, if you look at the formula now, like even as it currently stands, and we've gone through so many iterations of all of our formulas to get them perfected into the place where they are at the minute, but that product is a direct result of Danielle's like supplement mixology, as she calls it, during her IVF days. Like there is nothing like it on the market where it really is handpicked by her and then our head of nutrition, or what are the things that are most likely to improve not only your IVF outcomes, but also just your chances of natural conception. And it's crazy to us that there was nothing like that already existed, but there simply wasn't, not at a high price point or a low price point. So the fact that we could bring that to the market and make it a really accessible price is still something that I think we're both, incredibly proud of.
It's refreshing to see, it really is. I just wanted to move us on slightly and talk about fertility and the mental health impact that you can have on your own infertility journey, and just wanted to see if you would be open to share your own experience with being open to conversation. I mean, being a fertility and conception department store, we speak to people every day. We point them on to fertility counsellors or experts in the field that we think would help them with where they are. It consumes you day and night, and many of us still aren't confident enough to be open, open in the workplace with your employer, open with your partner on how you're feeling, or even your friends. Is that something you both experienced? And do you think that we are getting a bit better now? More people are talking on social media and the taboo seems to be lifting a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, at the start of my own fertility journey, I didn't want to talk about it to anyone. I actually felt quite shamed by it, which in, hindsight is just utterly ridiculous. I didn't talk about it for so long, and then I quickly realized that by not talking about it, I was hindering the success of my treatment. And I really felt when I started to open up about it, and I started using my very, very small platform at the time to talk about it quite openly, I felt the more I shared, the more I normalized it and normalized that conversation. And it really felt that I was turning kind of my pain into a purpose. And I really felt this kind of removal of this kind of stigma status and a taboo, like you just said, Steph. They're really ridiculously, there is this taboo, and it's definitely getting better. I think the fact that we are normalizing the conversation, people are actively showing their own journeys on social media, which is incredible to see. People are resonating with that and really understanding, the impact of fertility on not just physically but mentally as well, and that there are certain things that you can do to really alleviate that, and one of them is really opening up about it and talking about it if you are comfortable in it. And it takes time, right? And everyone is different. It took me a long time to really be able to talk about it openly, but I quickly realized when I found my community and found my tribe of my TTC tribe, I just felt less alone.
Yeah.
And that was just the most incredible feeling.
I think that's the key point, isn't it? Is that you are alone until you share, and once you share, you feel better. It's just like you say, finding your tribe, and just what you said there, Danielle, about making your pain into a purpose. I think that should be really a slogan for the brand, because you've taken what you've been through and now are helping, both of you helping other women on their fertility journey. And I think that's really powerful, and there's many other women in this space that I'm surrounded with every day that have done the same. They've took their emotion and their passion and merged it together to create something that helps other women, and that is so powerful. So
and also it's so positive, and I think that's where Ova comes in, and how our kind of tone of voice and how our comms are, is that we want to lean on the positivity, because we all know how difficult the fertility and trying to conceive, whether naturally or through assisted conception, even just reproductive health as a whole, like it's a lot, right? And we want to really lend, we call it big sister energy. We want to be that kind of big sister to our customers and our community, and really lend that positive mindset, because you can find a lot of positives in everything, right? So, you know, we want to be kind of lifting you up, we want to be commiserating you when things obviously don't go to plan, but we're there to really to say, you know what, we're all in it together. You know, there is a community out here to support you at whatever stage you're at and whatever, you know, journey you're going through. And we want to really lean in that levity and lean in the positivity of, because there's so much out there.
Maybe to just add a slightly different perspective to that. I mean, I obviously, in my own experience, I went through recurrent miscarriages, and even just kind of harkening back to this big sister energy, we kind of came up with that term in and around the time that I was going through these miscarriages. And it's because I have an older sister. And while I actually really didn't find that opening up was easy for me to do while I was experiencing the miscarriages, but my older sister became such a important part of my life during that time, and she still is and always has been. But she was just always there to answer the phone, and if I needed to cry, she would listen to me cry. But if I needed her to find a motivating thing to tell me, she would always present that to me as well, and really kind of was able to, without making me feel worse, pull me out of some of these really low feelings that you can get into when you're experiencing loss or when you're experiencing infertility. And Danielle as well became a really great big sister to me in that time as well, and always just reassured me that you're nowhere near done trying things. This isn't over. You are going to become a mother, and there are so many things that you can continue to do. And that's what really, I think, inspired us, that there's so much science out there. There are so many things that we can do, whether starting with supplements, but moving all the way through, medicated cycles to IVF. The technology that exists these days to help us become parents is really incredible. And that should be seen as a positive, even when you are in the kind of depths of infertility. Having someone just remind you that you're not going to be in this place forever, and wallow in it, experience it, live in it, because it's really hard to pull yourself out of it sometimes. But just remember, this isn't the end, and there's still so much that can be done. And I think that feeling kind of stuck with both Danielle and I throughout our journeys of having that big sister to kind of lean on and just remind you that it's going to be okay. And that's what Ova kind of continues to want to be, is just that person who's there to say, don't give up. There's still so much you can do. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to note that there is still a life. You still have a life to live after fertility or infertility, whether you have a baby or not. Your journey doesn't define you, and the connections and relationships that we build on the way, can be for life. So that is really powerful, and I like what you said there, Danielle, about always finding the positives. My mum always says to me, even when you see a horrendous, accident, you can see helpers. You see the ambulance, you see the fire engines, you see the helpers, and you can always see the positives in everything. So thank you very much. So obviously today we are celebrating International Women's Day, and that is all about accelerating the action. We're breaking barriers, we're creating inclusivity and ensuring access to better health solutions. What would you like to see in the fertility industry? Are there any changes you'd be like, if I could choose, this is what I would like to see today? Whether that could be access, education within schools. Is there anything that you feel really strongly? If I go to you first, Kat.
Oh, I mean, gosh, so much. But I think for me, the kind of key thing is maybe really starting to speak to men and women about their fertility just a little bit sooner. I think that's what kind of hit both Danielle and I a ton of bricks, is when we kind of hit 30 and you started thinking about trying to conceive. It's obviously never too late, but there are so many things that we can be doing earlier on in our lives to really safeguard our fertility for when we are ready to have children. And that was the biggest frustration to me, where I was just like, oh man, you mean I could have been changing my diet or making some tweaks to my lifestyle in my 20s so that by the time I got to this point, I wasn't, fighting the fight I was having to go through. So that would be the first one for me. It's just maybe college age, really putting a real focus in on educating, younger couples, or even just people in their early 20s, around what they can be doing to make sure that they're protecting their fertility for later on in life.
It's really powerful because we are, as a nation, quite reactive. You know, we don't see a doctor till we're ill.
Yeah.
We don't normally take medicine till we're ill. And
That's such a
yeah,
good point.
Yeah, it's and that's kind of a thing we say over. It's being proactive instead of reactive, and taking that kind of functional approach to your fertility. I mean, pretty much scratch that, like functional approach to your health, full stop. That's really where, we need to be taking actionable steps ahead of getting to the point where you need to take a knee-jerk quick like help. And I think for us it's really about exactly what Kat said. It's about taking this proactive approach, much earlier fertility education, give women the tools to actually understand their cycles much earlier on, so that they understand what a journey in their reproductive health could look like in the future, but feel more confident, armed with the knowledge. And I think that's really, really key for us as a brand. Is that's what we want to do. We want to nurture that next generation of fertility consumer, of cycle consumer, of just a reproductive health consumer, so that they know they are prepared and they are well equipped for every stage of their reproductive health, for the long term. So that's really important.
I'm sorry, I did actually think of something else, and I know it's International Women's Day, but I feel like this really is supportive of women. Maybe just letting men know that they're a really big part of this as well. Like, it's not all on the woman, and there's so much that can be done around educating men on sperm health that just like simply is not happening. That if men were really to think about their own trying to conceive journeys and supercharging their sperm, women would actually have a lot better pregnancy outcomes, which is crazy. So I think, so teaching men and women sooner, but really also just leaning into teaching men about the importance of their role in trying to conceive and having a healthy pregnancy.
I'm an advocate for teaching men. Last month we did a sex and intimacy campaign, and it was all about engaging with men and women about intimacy and what that looks like, and which was really powerful. I mean, this is a whole other episode, but how many women would be put off hugging and being intimate with their partner on the sofa in case it turned to sex when they didn't want sex. Which again, we did a lot of work about educating men that it doesn't always mean that, and that intimacy can be many more things. So
God forbid, sometimes we just want a hug.
Just a hug, please. Just a hug. It's fine for today.
No, it's really interesting. We've actually just done a bit of work around kind of intimacy when you're trying to conceive as well, because it's also such a, it can be a real drain on, your relationship with your partner when sex becomes this scheduled activity around when you're ovulating. And there is, I think so much more that both men and women can be doing to still be able to enjoy that intimacy throughout their trying to conceive journey. So it's an interesting topic for sure.
It really is. It's very rarely that sex is just sex,
Yeah.
It's just sex for what you want it to be. Yes. Now, before we finish off, ladies, and it's been so amazing to have you both on this episode, tell us and the listeners a little bit more about the Ova Co, what the collection looks like, and obviously they can buy it here at Fem Health, but where else the Ova Co can be found.
So Ova, we have 4 products. We have Ova Her, which is our take on a prenatal but better. And this is our fertility and pregnancy support. So we are, for this product, helping to support those who are trying to conceive naturally, ahead of trying to conceive, whether you're going through fertility treatment, and then on throughout pregnancy and postpartum. So this is kind of your one-stop shop. And we have an incredible array of therapeutic ingredients. We have 26 nutrients in there, all at incredible forms, most bioavailable forms, the right ratios to work in tandem together, which is really important for us to really kind of get into the weeds of how nutrients work together in a holistic way. And really, this is kind of our hero product of the range. And then we have our Over Him. We like to say, as we've just talked about, trying to conceive is a team sport. And this is really focusing on motility and morphology and count. And we really, for us, this is like sperm health simplified. We have just looked at the best nutrients to really help support those incredible 74 days that men happily get with their sperm regeneration, and how we can really supercharge their sperm within that time frame. And so we've used this amazing concoction of highly therapeutic nutrients to really supercharge those key parameters within sperm health. And not only that, but look at testosterone levels and just overall men's health and well-being. And we've had some incredible anecdotals as a consequence from taking this from men, that not only does sperm count improve, but actual overall well-being is incredibly, the results are really fascinating. Then we have Ova Plus, which Kat's talked about, and this is our advanced hormonal support. This is really for anyone who is looking to come off birth control, looking for more cycle regulation. It's there to support those who have symptoms or have PCOS and endometriosis, to help sort of support that in the best way possible from a nutritional standpoint. And really for those who are looking to or have been trying to conceive for more than a year. And this is really kind of a brilliant add-on to your everyday regime. It's got incredible myo-inositol in and really powerful probiotics or microbiotics. Then we have Ova Omega, which is our DHA omega-3 vegan omega. And we felt it was long overdue for an omega to be vegan, a non-fish omega. So it's derived from algae, a very highly concentrated algae. So it's free from anything, essentially, because it's grown and incubated as algae, and it's incredibly pure. But this is brilliant product for both men and women, and just a great add-on to your journey, to your fertility journey. So these products we wanted to have autonomy within the brand, so you can kind of cherry pick to where you are at your stage in your journey. But they work very well together in tandem, depending on what you're looking to achieve and what stage of your journey you're part of.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you again for both of you for joining us today. And to our listeners, where can they find you personally? Is it over on Instagram?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at the handle We Overcame. And yeah, we hope to see everyone there.
Yes, amazing. Well, thank you so much, and happy International Women's Day. I wish you the most success in 2025, and I'm sure we'll be doing lots together over the next few months.
No, we look forward to it. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.